welcome to our August 2022 Explorer Call here at Aira. I'm Janine Stanley, the Director of Customer Communications here at Aira, and tonight I have with me Sandy Marcus, our VP of Marketing. Hey, Sandy.
Hello, Janine. Hello, everybody.
And I think she is recovered from the road show that we did, which we'll talk about here in a second in our brief news update. But we also have with us for the bulk of tonight's programming our CEO, Troy Attilio. Hey, Troy.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
He's rushing the season a little. He has ravens in his tree outside. So if you hear birds, that's, it's a little scary, actually.
I think they wanted to listen in. I don't know why, but yeah.
Well, we'll hope that it's lucky. We will hope that it's lucky. So, as you probably know, there is a lot going on at Aira right now, and I wanted to give just a minute or two for Sandy to give us a little recap on the Starbucks Roadshow that we did over the last couple weeks. It was a lot of fun for everyone who participated. So, Sandy, how did that go with coffee and cupcakes and 50th anniversary stuff and all kinds of fun?
Where can you go where coffee and cupcakes aren't a wonderful combination?
Oh, yeah.
So we always say we're so honored to call Starbucks our partner in creating accessible spaces, inclusive experiences in their stores across the U.S. So we traveled to 7 different cities from up and down the East Coast, the middle of the country, and up and down the West Coast. And it was terrific. We met several new explorers. We saw lots of old friends. We learned to taste coffee with many of our senses, including the favorite one, which is part taste, part smell. And that's slurp. And it's perfectly polite to slurp coffee during a coffee tasting. Anyway, it was really quite enjoyable. And the most important thing is that we were able to tell lots of new people about Aira at Starbucks, why it's important to Starbucks, and encourage people to go in and visit, whether you have a cup of coffee or a cupcake, or you just go in and sit down and visit with a friend. You are welcome in Starbucks. The Starbucks partners are ready and waiting to receive you. So go visit Starbucks near you. No sooner than an hour from now when this call is over.
That's right. Stay tuned.
Right. Any time after that.
Absolutely, because you know what's coming up. Pumpkin spice season. I love pumpkin spice, so happy day. But wait till September, folks, please.
Okay.
Please don't rush the season. All right, so Troy, it is time to talk about Aira Everywhere, and I do mean everywhere, but especially Aira Desktop. We have kicked this thing into full public beta. Can you tell us a little bit about Aira for Desktop in the public beta? Because it has just exploded. I think is a good term.
I'm going to give some stats. I'm going to share some recent changes because, as we mentioned, we are working on this product every day and we're releasing new updates into what we call production every week. So I'll give some updates. So, big picture, again, in case no one's heard me talk about this before, I'm super passionate about Aira Everywhere, about desktop. This is really a response to what we learned from you all about how you want to interact with Aira. You wanted to be able to use Aira on the computer without a phone. You wanted to be able to use Aira while you're sitting and have your hands effectively free, not manipulating the phone. You wanted to be able to share files. You wanted to be able to share your screen. You wanted to be able to call with a single command or hotkey. And so we've been working at this for a while. What we're seeing is just increased usage, more users every day. I think at this point we're at over 10,000 minutes of usage, over 700, 800 sessions, and over 170 different unique users. And so if you're one of the people on the call, you're like, Aira Desktop, I'm not sure, maybe, or I'm not sure how to sign up. We're going to streamline it a little bit. So Janine, make sure I get this very clear. Again, it's a public beta. So like, meaning anyone can use it. We're not trying to gate access. If you want to try it out, it comes with some limitations. There's some things that the desktop will be able to do over time that it doesn't do today. And all of that information is on Aira.io/everywhere. We'll talk about some of those things that are coming.
Aira.io/desktop.
Yes. Well, Aira/io everywhere has all of the marketing, all of the information about.
That's right.
You're
Gotcha.
cutting to the chase, which is if you don't want to sign up for the beta, if you don't want to give us your name and email, which is what you can do to get as a way to say, hey, I'm using the desktop and I want to receive emails about updates to the desktop. You're like, I don't want to do that. I just want to use it. Just make it simple. You can bypass all that. And we're talking about this today. You can go to Aira.io/desktop and it will redirect you to the login page. So you don't need to sign up. You don't need to give me your email. You don't need to give me your name. But if you want to give that information so that we can email you with specifics about changes to the desktop, now or later, you can go to Aira.io/choice and you can register for the beta. You're just declaring that you want some more information about future changes. So what's the bottom line?
They're coming hard and fast too.
Yeah, the bottom line is bookmark this page or bookmark the page that comes up after you get redirected, but it's Aira.io/desktop. Again, that's on Windows, Mac, and on those platforms, it's Safari, it's Firefox, it's Edge, and it's Chrome. And
hey, I heard a new browser in there.
Yes, so one of the updates was we're now standing behind Safari. We had some accessibility challenges. We believe we've resolved those. And so Safari is back on the menu. So if that's your browser, go for it. Let's see, what else would I tell you? So again, the basics, log in with email, log in with phone. You get the code in your email or on your phone. Now you're on a main page. What can you do on the main page? Well, you can hit the button. You can call the agent. You'll be connected. Or you can start by saying, hey, I want to provide some information. I'm going to type in a message to the agent. Or I have a couple files I want them to look at. Or it's going to be important in my call for the agent to have some files. Maybe you want them to modify it. Maybe you want them to read it. We support that. So now you're connected. Okay. And now that you're connected, some of you may have reported, it's an issue some of you reported, and we've since resolved it, although we've heard of a couple situations where it doesn't work perfectly. But if you're someone who doesn't have a camera built into your laptop and you don't have one connected, in the past, you wouldn't be able to make a call. We've removed that restriction. There's plenty you can do with Aira on the desktop without using the camera. So that's been updated. We've also just been updating in general the accessibility. We've been working with hotkeys. And now, Janine, we talked about this yesterday. There was one or two other features that we've added probably since the last time we talked. I'm trying to think of
Yes, there's location services now. You will get a prompt. If you have not logged in a while, you'll get a prompt to enable locations. That location services is enabled so that if you are, let's say, taking your laptop to a Starbucks and you want to work with, some of your files and things, and you might need an agent, you can bring that up, and that offer should apply when you are there. And this is a beta, so let us know if it doesn't.
And just as a reminder, just as it is on the mobile app, as it is on the desktop app, provided you have a free call to make or you have minutes on your personal plan, you can always, tell the agent, hey, I'm at a Starbucks, the offer didn't trigger, please apply it. So there is that backstop in general, because that's one of the beauties of a human-based service, right? We're not fully dependent on software. And so it's the combination that allows us to be a little more flexible.
Absolutely.
So we've added location, small fun detail, and you guys know I'm part tech nerd, but at the end of the day, that location is a function of a little bit where the internet signal is being delivered from. Most laptops don't have GPS in it, and so what the computer does is says, let me figure out where I am based on the internet provider. So that's why mileage may vary on location-based offers on the desktop, because the way that the device, the computer, gets the location is a little different than the phone, which has the nice little GPS radio in there to know more precisely where that phone is.
And
What
we
else, Janine,
also,
did we add?
oh gosh, we have support now with our agents for a couple more screen sharing options. And we're going to have some info on these in our newsletter, which will be out early next week, actually. It's coming out a little bit later, but we now, besides TeamViewer, we also have TeamViewer Quick Assist, which is sort of a TeamViewer Lite that is a free download, and we'll have information about that in the newsletter, how you can get that. The best thing about that is the ID and password fields are completely accessible with all of the major screen readers and operating systems, so no more having to install scripts or anything like that, which actually with desktop, that becomes much, much easier. But now we also support Chrome Remote Desktop, which is it's not exactly a plugin. I'm trying to remember what they call it, but it isn't.
I can help out here. Yeah.
Great.
So, and I'll just make one minor correction. So, Quick Assist has nothing to do with TeamViewer. TeamViewer is a company based out of Germany.
I'm sorry.
No,
Quick
okay.
support.
Yeah,
I knew I was going to do that.
But the as we discussed, we had forewarned or announced that we were trying to provide more choice and alternatives, and that included TeamViewer, alternatives to TeamViewer, the software. So both Quick Assist from Microsoft and Google Remote Desktop do the same functions as TeamViewer. They're just from a different vendor. And some folks report, and I would confirm, that the experience on whole is easier and is definitely more accessible. There's elements of TeamViewer that aren't accessible. And despite working with that company, they've yet to kind of invest in that. So Microsoft Quick Assist will only work if you're on a Windows machine. It's not a application installed on your Mac, but most of us are on Windows, so that means you just need to download that from the App Store. It'll be in the newsletter how you do that. Once it's installed, you're good to go. You can use it. And then separately, Chrome Remote Desktop, same thing. You need an application installed that you permit to give permission to access your computer, so that when you request an agent to remote into your computer, it has the privilege, if you will. Bottom line is the information will be in the newsletter, and you now have alternatives. And I would encourage you to, if you're someone who's using TeamViewer today, or you've wanted to use a remote access tool while working with Aira, check them out. And I'd be interested to know over time which one's better and why, or maybe they're equally good.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
one final detail on that, it definitely works in concert with the desktop, but it doesn't require the desktop, just like TeamViewer didn't require the desktop. It's just another way to collaborate with Aira.
Yep. And we are just broadening that scope daily, I think. But there are also instructions on how to set up these particular remote assistants on that page, aira.io/desktop. So if you are, considering working with the beta or considering installing one of these, you might want to visit that page and read it over, because there's a lot of good info on there. And we're updating that again pretty regularly to keep that up to date. So can we talk about anything else in the Aira Everywhere land, Troy? He says.
I'm going through my list for Troy here myself. It's the end of the day, and I did take notes, but they're downstairs.
I was going to say, we do have some announcements coming out, so please, if you are interested in all things Aira, you can subscribe to our RSS feed for our newsroom content, and that is aira.io/feed. And then we will also have a new podcast feed for you, and that is Pinecast debitcard.com/feed/IraCast. And all of this, of course, will be in the newsletter so you can reference it. But be sure to sign up for those feeds in your RSS client of choice. And that way you can get notified anytime we put something new up in the newsroom. And I would say for the next month or so, you definitely want to do that. Great. Well, Troy, we have another topic tonight to talk about. I am going to turn this over to you, and then we will probably take some input from our audience here.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so this is an important announcement, and I want to be very clear on the announcement. And so I'm gonna go through it, and then we'll open up to questions. So as always, first off, I think I already said that, thanks for joining this call and many calls. This is one way we connect with you to share news. And so the important information tonight is about our paid subscription plans. We will be raising rates in 2023. So everyone's going, oh no, what does this mean? How much? So let me go through this. I think the one thing I want you to remember is that for current subscribers, so the folks that help build Aira, you will not be impacted by this raise. We're going to, as we'll describe here, you will be able to lock in your current rate, your current subscription, or whatever subscription you choose to keep through 2023. So this information I'm going to go through will be communicated more generally in a follow-on announcement email, right, Sandra? That's going to be going out soon, or it's going to be on our website?
Two things. There's a newsroom article that's posted right now that folks can find after you wrap up today, or we wrap up today. And then, yes, beginning tomorrow, a series of emails. And from now through the end of the year, we'll continue to keep folks to date.
Great. So let me go through this a little bit. Let me kind of be a little more transparent on the thinking and what's happening. And then first, I want you each to know that I and Aira, we value each and every explorer, whether you're a paid subscriber or a guest. I think you've heard me talk about this, but specifically, your use of Aira really powers the advocacy and awareness of visual interpretation. It informs our private and public audiences, both access partners as well as policymakers, about the need and the value of a service like Aira. Like, because you use it, because you're using it more, not just as individuals, but as a community, that is data that you cannot look away from, right? So simply put, every call matters and builds that larger case for assistive technology overall, including Aira. So beginning January 17th of 2023, so that's roughly in 5 months, the monthly Explorer subscription plan prices will increase. But the key thing I want you all to know today, if you're on the call, you can tell others, this is going to be for any new individuals. So anyone who signs up after January 17, 2023, we'll be looking at new plans that will be more costly than the plans we have today. Another thing you may know if you've been with us, Aira has not made any changes, adjustments in pricing in the last 4 years. And we remain committed to building a visual interpreting service that is sustainable and thus dependable and thus equally affordable. And as mentioned, as a benefit or thank you to the current supporters of Aira, you can avoid the price increase through 2023. Here's how, and I think I'm going to repeat this a couple times. I just want to make sure I get it across. Repetition doesn't ruin the prayer, as my former CEO at Intuit used to say. So anybody with an active Aira subscription that was purchased before January 17, 2023 will not be impacted by the price increase. You will be able to continue that plan through 2023 at the rate that you sign up for prior to that date with the current terms. So this increase will only affect those who sign up after January 17, 2023. So just want to make that really clear. Knowing each of us, each of you need to make careful decisions about essential and discretionary spending. The reason we're announcing this today is so you have time to think about the upcoming increase and change in plans. The new pricing plan, you're like, okay, well, great. What's the new increase? So we're not here to announce that today. We need time, by the way, to figure out what the level of increase needs to be. And furthermore, like what other adjustments to the plans you all need or desire, right? I've heard lots of you in person or with email talk about aspects of plans that you would like to see. I could go into all the details, not today, but this will be our opportunity to also evaluate how we package Aira. So the new plans will be announced before or on January of 2023. So the commitment is to produce those so you have some time to look at your current plan and future plans in the month of January or in the weeks in January leading up to the 17th. And if we can get it done sooner, we certainly will provide it sooner. But I think we can safely commit to providing that at the top of 2023. So as kind of a recap, I'm beating the horse here. If you're a current subscriber with an active subscription, there is no impact to you. If you're a free user today, you have the option to purchase a subscription on or before January 17th to get the current pricing. And then if you're wondering about, hey, I'm also an employer, or I also, use Aira access through my company, are they going to get a different rate? There are no changes in the pricing structure at this time. So we're clearly and directly talking about the consumer subscription plans. So, professionally trained agents and assistants on demand is, probably what drove you or drew you to Aira originally. We remain committed to providing quality service you expect and deserve and growing it, right? Investing in new technology and new ways to access Aira. And we'll continue to provide that level of service even when we raise our prices, of course. And I just wanted to close with, we really appreciate your continued business and loyalty. And at this point would be a good chance to open it up for questions and comments. But in closing, when you do have questions that aren't answered today, aren't found on that the communication we're going to provide, you can always call customer care. They will be able to provide this information that we're relaying and answer other questions you may have. So with that, I'm going to open up the mic or the chat and see what questions or comments we get.
Thank you so much, Troy. And there will be a lot of Q&A in the newsroom post, and you can find that at aira.io/newsroom. That's where all of our posts are staged. So please, you can go there after the call. But let's go ahead and Sid, let's raise some hands here.
Yes, if you've got a question, please go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll move as quickly as we can to it. We do have one question already I see on YouTube, and
great.
Kind of characterize why would you characterize why is the plan increasing in price?
So there are increased costs that we're encountering. We're a service that we consume products, software, technology. There's a lot of expenses that we deal with in providing the service, and I can tell you those costs have gone up, and it became apparent to me that to continue as a sustainable company, we need to evaluate some new pricing. So it's with that, then we decided, okay, well, we could wait till January. I think that obviously the wrong plan, just to thrust it upon the community. And then we thought about the policy of what about our current customers who have helped propel us this far? So that's where we came up with the idea to, allow people who have been with Aira, are with Aira up until January to continue on with their current pricing, even though the cost for us to deliver that same service has gone up.
So Janine, it's Sandy. I can pop in and answer two of the questions that are posted.
Oh, wonderful.
Q&A, sure. So there's one asking if the locked rate before January 17th applies to plans like the ACB plan or the NFB plan, the power plans, et cetera. And we're not going to share details about what the new plans look like and how all of the existing plans will live after the 17th of January next year. We'll get to that, as Troy said a few minutes back, at best, just after the first of the year, but certainly before that January 17th date, so that you can all evaluate and make plans to continue with what you have or move to something new. And then the second question is related. What will the intro plan be? So same response. Tonight is to give you kind of a long communication about what's coming after the first of the year, but not to share the details. We certainly owe you lots and lots of details about what will be new and how today's plans will look in January of 2023, but not for tonight. That will be a whole other Explore call.
Yes, and you will hear this message repeated by everybody at Aira. So there's no one who has more information or who will give you more information. It will be basically the same message, that we are not giving out that information at this time, but we will endeavor to get it to you so that you can make some informed decisions in January. So
I see Antonio has a good question. I'll just read it out. It's really well written. The announcement is clear that legacy users will not be impacted by the new price. It sounds like that is only through the year 2023. Is that correct? Or can you commit to locking down the price for a little longer than that? So Antonio, no, I can't commit at this point. That's really just literally too far to predict. So, you know, at this point, we're only committing through 2023 to keep the current plans, called legacy plans, you know, at the same rate. And when I say current plans, I mean the current public plans, whether they're the NFB, ACB, or the plans that you can find on our website.
Great question.
Let's see. Mark says, will you have where family and friends could give us gift minutes? Janine, am I wrong?
They can, yeah, absolutely. That can happen now. I don't believe the pricing of the gift minutes or anything like that is involved right now in the discussion of raised pricing. However, I'm not going to, you know, but that would be a question for you, Troy. But right now,
I can answer that. If you buy the gift,
awesome.
If you buy the gift minutes right now, you would get that benefit, whatever that gift is, because you've already paid for it. Someone's paid for it. You can buy yourself a gift if you want it, I suppose. But if you buy those minutes, you've made the transaction, and we've come to an agreement to give you whatever minutes that gift comes with, and that's not going to change. Yep. So I mean, ultimately, that the answer is, will you have friends and family? Could they give assistance? The answer is yes. And if you buy it today, then the value is locked in.
And Sandy, can you look up the exact URL for where people can go if they want to purchase a gift card for someone or check out the gift cards?
I can. I think that it's aira.io/gift-card, but I will confirm that.
Awesome. Thank you.
I see Wenway's out there. Hi, Wenway. She's moving away from a pricing question, so we'll go this direction. She was just wondering when Aira Desktop will be out of public beta. The answer is when we feel as though it's of production and quality that I and the rest of the team, you know, I can tell you the development team is very passionate about achieving a certain level of quality. We're going to take it out of public beta. When will that be? Like, how much more time? It's a little hard to predict, because as we get more users, we find more issues that we believe need to be resolved, whether that's accessibility issues, whether that's functionality issues. As a simple detail, today you can't look up the usage. So we're talking about plans. You can't look at your usage of minutes in the desktop app. And so that's an obvious gap that has to be closed. Then there's other ones that are more subtle in terms of the interaction on the web with screen readers. Like we want to release a product we're all proud of, and one that when there are defects, we're going to go after them. So it's a long way of saying I think we're still several months away from having a broader production release, but at this time there's nothing preventing anyone from using the desktop. So it's kind of use it knowing that there are certain gaps and limitations. But for many that I've talked to, they're like, hey, it's plenty usable for me. And when I'm at my computer, it's better than using the phone and TeamViewer.
Great question.
Okay. Great question. Emily, aka Sensei, asks, I like this one. How come you don't have an annual plan? Good topic. Well,
yeah.
as we mentioned, as we evaluate 2023 and plans, that one is firmly on my front desk. In fact, I'd love to be able to run a poll. How many would want an annual plan? I've heard from many people they want an annual plan. There's really nothing preventing us from offering one except for taking the time to construct it, offer it, present it. So not committing today to an annual plan, but that's certainly a front runner in terms of changes and capabilities that we would consider offering in 2023. All right.
See, all it takes is asking the question.
Yeah, no, that's a yeah. I could go on annual plans. I think they make a lot of sense for a lot of people.
There are some questions over on YouTube again.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, by the way, folks, I can't see the YouTube questions. So
I was going to say, we'll get to you live, folks, but let's do these.
Some of the questions on YouTube, you answered, Troy, and that there are features that folks need to stay tuned about regarding the beta application. But one of the questions that did come through has to do with what is the best way to request free access at an airport? And specifically wondering about locations like Detroit or larger cities where, what would be the best way for, I suppose in this case, an explorer to reach out to their community?
So to the community, I'm going to give you a couple of options. These are, you can do any and all, or you can do one or all. One is you can tell our sales team, it's not that they don't know, what airports don't have access. Their mission is to call and, influence all airports to deploy Aira. As a little backstory, we even have a relationship with an organization called AAAE. What do they stand for?
American Association of Airline Executives.
Yes, thank you. And that includes all airport CEOs, it includes CEOs of airlines. And that community knows about Aira, and they know that some airports have deployed it, and it's still a slower process to kind of close them all. But let's get to the chase. One is inform our sales team that you have a passion for Aira at a specific airport by contacting sales. Part of what helps our sales team successfully advocate to an airport is literally a consumer, someone who uses that airport, saying, hey, why can't you deploy Aira like the other 40 or 50 airports that are out there? So when Marty and Kevin know that, that helps them prioritize. Number two, and this is really as far as you want to go, it's contacting executives at that airport. Most airports have their information on the web about how to get in touch, and advocating, whether it's sharing links about Aira, whether it's sharing press releases about other airports, whatever is natural to you to communicate that you think it's a good service and you want it deployed there. So that's an end. And then, there's other tools out there. Some brands, some operations listen to Twitter, some listen to Facebook. Advocacy never hurts, in my opinion. And it's hard. I personally think it's hard to look away from Aira if people are demanding it, because there's a lot of great examples, call it press, about how it benefits folks. And frankly, it's easy for that airport to deploy. They don't have to invest in infrastructure. They don't have to deploy hardware. They don't have to train their staff. So it's sometimes just we need a little bit of luck and a little bit of momentum from someone like you. So,
And
that,
look at what that did with Phoenix this year.
that's
Phoenix
right.
Sky Harbor came on board this year. That's
Yep.
huge. We're very
I can
excited. And
tell
a
you,
lot of you worked on that too.
as I say, behind the scenes, it's not a secret. You know, there were a lot of explorers that did one or more of those things I described, which, you know, if you're persistent and consistent, eventually you get the attention of someone at that point where they're ready to engage, right? Okay, what else do we got from YouTube land?
Another question concerns Explorer is currently paying with a debit card. Was wondering about the possibility maybe of using PayPal as a form of payment method.
That, I wish Ryan Bishop was on. No commitment, but that is something we have looked at. And whether it's PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, there's a bunch of them out there. We haven't taken the time because we just haven't taken the time to really engage all of you to understand which one would be best. But the big ones are in some ways the easiest. So that is possible. So I'd love to hear from you all, like how many people would use it. I'd even love to ask, I think I know why, but I'd love to ask why that is desirable. I mean, I've heard reasons, but I'm always interested, like what is the rationale? But that's something we can, and I could almost commit to it, except for the fact that don't want to commit to things and then, you know, let you all down. But that is, you know, within our reach, you know, in a 6 or 12 month time frame. And so the more I hear about that, you know, it'll go up the list, because we again have, you know, like everyone, we have focus and limited resources. So, you know, focusing on the most important things first is kind of the way we operate at Aira. I see Apple Pay too, just to knock that out. Yeah.
Yes.
Apple Pay is another one. Google Pay.
And
You know, I'll share one. This is known in general. The one challenge a lot of companies have is Apple in particular, and Google as well. There's a difference between Apple Pay and in-app payment. You can go read about it, but the in-app payment is very expensive. They charge vendors like us up to 15-20% of the transaction, which is amazing that they can do that. However, separately, like checking out or providing Apple Pay as a checkout mechanism is different. And so if we did, that's the way we would go. I don't see, you know, given everything you just heard, you know, we'd have, that's a cost, right? That would have to go somewhere. So Apple Pay as a alternative to a credit card is something we definitely could look at.
Alrighty. Let's see. I love the variety of questions here. Can we take a live one, Sid?
You know, I don't see any that have come through just yet, but if folks want to raise their hand, they can. I do see some questions related, though, into the Q&A area.
Oh, great. Yeah, because I actually can't see those. So
one of the questions that came in has to do with Aira Desktop and inquiring about taking over the remote functions of TeamViewer.
Yeah. This one I think we'll be talking about for a long time. So today, the Aira Desktop experience is a web app. I'm trying to think of other web apps we might commonly use. You know, as a technology team, as we collaborate with each other, we happen to use Google Meet, and Google Meet is a web app. Some of us might be on Zoom. That is an application. You install Zoom. So there's a difference between a web app and an application. There's nothing we can do to thwart the operating system and the browser security to remote control a computer through a web app. There is no web app that can do that. The way that it might appear that they do that is you have to install a companion application. So when we were talking about, for example, Google or Chrome Remote Desktop, if you go through that installation process, you will at some point download an executable. You download a program, and when you download that program, you permit it to potentially have access to your machine so that you can remote control. That's a security feature. But so our web app will never, our web desktop will never be able to, on its own, remotely control your desktop. You can share your screen, so you can share a tab, share a window, share a screen. But when it comes time to, you want the agent to press buttons to control your machine, that's going to have to go through today one of the three: TeamViewer, Quick Assist, or Google or Chrome Remote Desktop.
Chrome Remote Desktop, yep.
Now, there could be a future where Aira produces an executable. So instead of a web app, we do a native app. We've thought about it, and we may choose to do that at some point. And if we choose to do that, then we could be the one-stop shop with the remote access. I can tell you our 3.0 platform puts us in a position to be able to do that at some point in the future. So we'll be evaluating the extra level of friction that comes with the fact that you have to still use one of these other systems to do remote access. But I close with asking you to, check out Quick Assist, check out Chrome Remote Desktop, because so far those look pretty easy, especially relative to TeamViewer, to install as a companion.
Excellent. We do have a few folks' hands that are raised now, and I'm able to route them in. The first one up will be stand by just a moment. Will be Misty. Can you hear us? Misty, you're on.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi guys. So playing a bit of a devil's advocate here as far as the price increase, but probably others have the same question, so I'm going to throw it out there. As far as the price increase, a lot of folks in recent months have been having issues with, say, a decrease in being able to get in within a reasonable amount of time when they call in, and also some other issues. So how would folks justify the price increase with an apparent decrease in quality of service, again, especially with regard to wait times? Thanks.
Yeah, it's a great question. So in fact, we had our company meeting today, and we discussed this, announcement, and I don't think Savannah Masai is on the call. And I threw that one at her. I'm like, hey, someone's going to ask this. And, her response, I can just play it back for you, but it's the one I stand behind too. So they're fully independent right now. We remain committed to achieving a short wait time, whether or not we increase prices or not. We are committed to providing quality agents, whether or not we have a price increase. So they're kind of independent. So, the fact that we have wait times that exceed our goal is something we're working on, whether or not we increase prices. So I think if you're unsatisfied and at times it sounds like you are, and I would be too, with that wait time, know that we are working on hiring and training agents as fast as we can, and looking at how do we better optimize that process. So, and I said before too, it's not your job, but if folks who would be interested in being an agent, we're always hiring and we're always looking for applicants, and that is kind of a separate thing. So we remain committed to that SLA, and at the same time, we're looking to recover some of the costs that have increased on the Aira side. So hopefully that answers that question, because I can see where you think they're related, but whether I increase prices or not, and we are going to for new users, the SLA issue has to be dealt with today and in the future. We have made, if you look at the statistics internally that I have, we've made a lot of progress there, and there are periods of time where the SLA is within kind of the 10 to 15 second range. But I also note that there are periods of days and hours where sometimes for 10, 15, 20 minutes, it falls out of that range, and we continue to work on that.
Okay. Thank you, Misty, for that question.
Excellent. The next person up is Mirtha. Mirtha, you are connected. Please ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Great. Thanks, Ira, for the session. Very informative. My question is, actually, I get two questions. Let me begin with one. Do you have any corporate plans for professionals?
Corporate plans for professionals. So are you a small business or do you work for a company and you're looking for the company to provide a accommodation, or is it something different?
Oh, no, yeah, it's the latter, actually. I'm working for a company and I'm wondering if this service can be set up through the corporation. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Our focus, if you were to look at internally, and we've declared it externally, we're really focused on two areas exclusively, and a third as it unfolds. So education and employment are our core focus. Since I think last year, we've added about, it's off the top of my head, so I'm going to say 15 to 20 corporations who, provide Aira for their employees. We love to brag about the tech companies in part because it also demonstrates that we're able to pass a very rigid security test. So we're always proud. You'll hear me talk about Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Salesforce. But there's others, whether that is TD Bank or Target or Starbucks, and the list goes on. So, and then there's a lot of small employers, and including folks who build products, for accessibility, like the Sparrow. So if you work at the Sparrow, you can use Aira. But bottom line is we have a package, we have a corporate package that is an accommodation for employees. And the way to get that conversation started, Sandra, what are the two ways to do that? I know you have some material on the web, but we can also set them up with an email.
Sure. If you write to access, ACCESS, @Aira.io, we can respond to you with material to take to somebody, or you can direct us to somebody to follow up with. So access, ACCESS, @Aira.io.
I'd say one more thing, just so you kind of have the bigger picture. So we went to a conference called Disability In, had 2,500 participants. It's the companies who are at least most committed to overall inclusion and accommodations. And at that conference, we picked up at least 40 inbound leads from companies who want to or thinking about deploying Aira for their employees as an accommodation. So the momentum and the use cases and that would appeal to HR and other people who would fund this otherwise are increasing. So it's becoming, I think, a lot easier to ask and also answer the question why and how.
That sounds great. Thank you. I'm going to get in touch with you guys through the access at Aira.io email address. And quickly, my next question is, there was a mention about NFP and the ACP plans. I'm wondering if you could please expand on that.
So with all the plans, those are what I consider, current plans. And if you maintain those plans up through, if you're subscribing to that, prior to January 17, 2023, then you will be able to continue at that rate through 2023. Those plans will change, post January 2023. We have not yet worked out what those rates will be, what the discount will be, or anything like that. So that's a TBD.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Sorry, actually, I'm trying to understand if this NFP plan is for exclusively for NFP members, or how does it?
That's correct. Yes.
That is correct.
You do need to be a member of the NFB or one of its divisions or state organizations. And when you sign up, and you have to do that through the customer care team, you can't actually do that through the app, but through the customer care team, they will then ask you a few questions about your affiliation, such as state president and a few other things to verify. And then we verify that with NFB, and then we give you that plan at the discount that we have for it.
Oh, is it? Could you please specify what's the discount for the NFB plans?
Certainly. Right now, we call them our power plans, and they are for ACB, NFB, and three organizations in Canada, I believe. I think I'm missing someone, but RNIB. Yes, I am missing RNIB. So the two plans that we have that are called power plans, our intro power plan is $20 a month US for 30 minutes. And then the standard power plan is $100 a month for 140 minutes as opposed to 120 minutes. So those are the two plans at this point in time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, you are so welcome, sir. Have a good evening.
Excellent. The next one we've got is Yvonne. Yvonne, can you hear us? Yvonne, if you can unmute your
you
microphone.
may have to unmute there.
Okay.
There we go.
Now, my question is about access points. I am right now talking to our YMCA about getting Aira. Now, are the rates for access points going to change as well?
Very good question, Troy.
Yeah, the pricing model that we use for what we call an access partner, a YMCA, a Starbucks, a Hope to be Walmart, those prices are negotiated. They're a little more custom. It's really a function of how many individuals they're going to be serving over, their whole set of locations. In the case of Starbucks, so we haven't announced any changes. I can tell you, how would I say this? The price they pay is much more costly than what you pay as a subscriber. So, my commitment is to keep the subscription plans as low cost as possible, given the fact that, really I see the future of providing Aira at an increasing lower cost is either because we have more access partners, so there's more coverage, and or those partners are paying a much higher rate that allows me to discount the subscriber plans. So it's a long way of saying that the answer is no, but we're always tinkering with and coming up with different pricing plans for folks like YMCA or Starbucks and the latter, but it's what's called enterprise pricing in software as a service term. So hopefully that answers the question. So the answer is really no. Yeah.
And have y'all considered doing like pre-scheduled Aira sessions? Like, you're going to need Aira.
Yeah, there's a whole set of, we call it call management features that are firmly on the backlog, which is to say we plan to do them. Right now, the focus is Aira Everywhere and desktop, but those include scheduling a call, or you call in and we call you back when there's an agent available, so you don't have to sit and wait on hold. Scheduling with a preference for the task, like I'm going to navigate, or even we've thought about, you could say something like, I want to make a call when I get to a certain location, and you're sharing your location with us so that we know when you're going to call and we have an agent available for you. So we've thought of a lot of different ways, or you've really explained to us, I should say, all the ways you want to use Aira, and those things are in the backlog, but there's no commitment on when we deliver those. The focus right now is.
And I do encourage everyone, the demonstration mode. I did that at the Y, and the manager, the one I go to, is just totally impressed. And
it is very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would say you're already doing what someone else asked, and The other point is, you can engage our access team at access.ira.io, and if you can help lead us to someone who's a decision maker, we'll carry it from there.
It's Sandy speaking. I just wanted to add one follow-on thought to what Troy just suggested. Write to us. We can arm you with material or take a name and we'll follow up. The point I wanted to add was we often talk about Target, right? We're so proud to call Target our partner. Starbucks, so proud to call Starbucks our partner. But not just big multinational organizations. If it's the single Y in your community, we will talk to them. We would love to welcome them into the Aira Access family. So just walk away from this call knowing, big, little, all sorts of different organizations. We're happy to have conversation with any one of them.
Absolutely. And let's see, do we have any more in the Q&A or out on YouTube that are kind of different, unique questions before we go back to our live folks?
Well, one mention is we did have some folks tune in late, and they wanted to make sure that there was going to be an archive copy of the
Yes.
broadcast. And yes, there is an archive copy that will be available on YouTube, as well as, and here's a great moment to plug our podcast
You
that is
bet.
distributed. And Janine, what's the best way that folks would want to be able to download and access that podcast?
So they can download IRACast. It's AIRACAST, and you can download that in your podcast player of choice. We are on all the major podcast distribution channels, including Apple Podcasts, which gets it out to a ton of different folks, and Spotify, etc., Overcast, a number of the podcatchers out there, as they used to be called. But you can also subscribe to our podcast feed, which is going to tell you when we have new episodes, and there will be direct download links from there also, and that is pinecast.com/feed/IRACast. That's pinecast.com/feed/IRACast. And you'll notice we changed podcast hosts recently, and we are very happy with Pinecast. They have outstanding accessibility, and we are just really loving our partnership with Pinecast. So that is how you can get our podcast. It will probably be out either late tomorrow or Friday morning, so look for it out there. We will also put an announcement out on all of our social channels that our podcast is available. So yes, this will be out there for you to listen to.
Excellent.
So, Sid and Janine, it's Sandy. I'll just pop in with one confirmation and then one more question for Troy about the topic of plans in January. So the confirmation is that the gift cards web page is ira.io/gift-cards plural. And everything your friends and family need to know to purchase Aira Minutes with a gift card is right there on that page. And then Troy, I think a question, I saw one quick one fly by, maybe an important one that we should cover before we hand it back to Janine and Sid to wrap up for the night, is to talk about rollover minutes as we think about the 2023 subscription plans. I know it's on people's minds.
It's the most often asked question of Aira, right? Actually tied with wearables. So
right.
Sandra, this is really unfortunate. You clipped out for a minute. You're just gonna have to repeat. I heard.
I'm sorry. Is my audio clear? Is my audio clear now?
Yep.
Yes.
There you go.
So I talked about gift cards, which you already know, and was posing one more question for you to address rollover minutes before we wrap up this evening. Oh, actually, sorry, for me, it's evening, whatever time zone you're in.
Yeah. I understand, and I've had lots of conversations, as have a lot of us, about rollover. I get the concept that, hey, I purchased those minutes, but I didn't use them, and now I have nothing. And it's, I get it. So as we look at our plans in 2023, we'll evaluate that. Rollover as a concept is probably not the way we'll go. I think the real question is, how do we make the pay for service flexible to your needs? There's a much longer discussion on why rollover was an absolute failure when we launched it operationally and very expensive to implement. It's why a lot of cell phone plans, like a lot of systems, don't do that kind of thing explicitly. And I could give a much longer answer, but I think what I've taken away is that there's some level of flexibility we want. Today, that flexibility is provided at a month level, where you can change your plan on a monthly basis. Of course, you know that, and you're still asking for rollover, so I know it doesn't meet all the desires and the needs. So I think that's in 2023. That's for us to think about how we make that flexibility meet your expectation. So hopefully that's not too abstract, but what I doubt that we would look at rollover because of the complexity that we encountered with people getting confused over how many minutes did I roll over from last month, and then I had minutes from the prior month, and there's a lot of math and consternation over the accounting of minutes. And then the second thing is folks would they would tell me, hey, I don't use Aira because I'm just saving up minutes. Yeah, I really want to use it, but I keep rolling over because I might have a bigger need. And in talking to those folks, it really became clear that there's got to be a different way so that we can predict when you're going to use your minutes, and we can look at averages, and so we can do a better job planning. So hopefully that answers the question, but I've heard that one a lot, and we'll be looking at providing more flexibility.
It is a great question, and one thing to know about those gifted minutes or minutes that you purchase, those do stay around until you use them up, as long as you have a paid plan. So that's something to know about minutes that you purchase or minutes that are gifted to you. They essentially do roll over. So, and I'm making my rollover gesture here. Wonderful. Well, we don't want to keep Troy and Sandy and Sid, who have had a very long day today. So we are going to wrap it up for the evening, but we know that you all have tons of questions to which we are probably going to give the same answer, that we do not have any information and we won't give any out about specific pricing until we hope at some point in January before the price change, right, Troy?
Yes, and I'm madly typing a few answers. At least I can do that.
Great. So, but we will definitely look over all of your comments from the YouTube channel, everything in the Zoom Q&A. Also, we will be looking at, and you can send any further questions to support@aira.io, and our great customer care team will get those to the people who can best answer them. So that might be our sales team, that might be us sitting here on this call. So support@aira.io. You can also call customer care. And there's my final thing. You can call customer care at 1-800-835-1934. And Sandy, we have one final thing to tell folks about the formatting of phone numbers. This has been something that I know many of you are very passionate about, but we now have an explanation for why we are going to be formatting phone numbers the way we do on our website and in our publications.
That's right. We're looking for, well, our goal was to have consistency. And so our approach with the phone numbers on our website, and it will take, in our communications, it will take a wee bit of time to work through everything and clean them up, but we will format them all as though you are outside North America calling in to North America, to get us out of the quagmire of who wants country codes and who doesn't want country codes. So no, they'll all be written with the hypothesis, I don't want to call it an assumption, with the hypothesis that if you're using a non-North American number, that you're outside the US calling into the US. So we'll start to get that all cleaned up in the coming days. And hopefully we'll make it easier for everybody to be able to call us without either inadvertently adding a digit or accidentally omitting a digit.
And this is a standard that we've done some research on as well. And so we have something to back it. And also, we want to make sure that you get through to customer care. And so you will see that change in the numbers coming soon. Well, Sid, thank you so much. And thank everyone for coming out. We've had another record audience for this call.
Thanks, everyone. I really enjoyed the questions. I really appreciate everyone's thoughtful, and even if they feel like hard questions, we want to hear your thoughts, because this is a relationship between both of us. Like without explorers, there is no Aira, and I really thank everyone for their time and their questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our next Explorer call will take place as I get out the magic Braille calendar here. There it is. And that call will take place on Wednesday, the 21st of September. Hard to believe it will be September very soon. So the 21st of September, be here. We will have some special guests for that call, so it should be quite an interesting time. And we'll have, again, much to tell you about Aira Everywhere and what is going on with us and our many partners in the Aira adventure. Well, thank you so much, Sid, for handling all of our folks out there and being our intrepid producer.
Thanks, Janine.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And Sandy and Troy, have a wonderful evening. And everyone, we will talk to you next month here with Aira. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Janine.